Welcome to our deep dive on the $40,000 car trap and how it can quietly threaten your retirement. First, we'll frame the problem and then show practical ways to avoid it while still driving something safe and reliable. Next, we'll examine the opportunity cost, total cost of ownership, and decision frameworks that keep you on track for financial independence. Here's our roadmap. First, we explain the $40,000 trap. Next, we quantify opportunity cost and compounding. Then, we share a smart buying framework and discuss what to drive instead. After that, we'll test your understanding with short quizzes. Finally, we'll close with key takeaways and an action plan. The $40,000 trap looks like this. You avoid car payments and pay cash, which is generally a great principle. However, the hazard is the size of that cash payment. Spending a large chunk on a rapidly depreciating asset drains funds that could be compounding for your future. Consequently, even strong savers can lose years of progress by allocating too much cash to a car. Next, let's add a brief disclaimer so you can apply these ideas safely to your situation. Before we continue, please note this content is educational and not individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. Everyone's situation is unique. Therefore, consult a qualified professional who understands your goals, income, risk tolerance, and local conditions before making decisions. Now let's quantify the opportunity cost behind an expensive car purchase. Let's make opportunity cost tangible. If you spend $40,000 on a car today, you forego the ability to invest that same amount. At a reasonable long-term return assumption of about 7% annually, money tends to roughly double in a decade. That means $40,000 invested for 10 years could grow to roughly $78,700, implying an opportunity cost in the neighborhood of $38,000. By contrast, if you spend $15,000 on a reliable car and invest the remaining $25,000, that invested portion could grow to about $49,000 in 10 years at 7%. Therefore, reducing your car budget significantly helps preserve capital for compounding. In practice, prioritizing reliability and low total cost of ownership over luxury features sustains your savings rate and accelerates retirement progress. Next, we'll walk through a step-by-step buying framework so you can translate this into action. Here's a practical framework. First, set a budget proportional to your liquid assets when you're in catch-up mode. About 5 to 10% can be a reasonable ceiling. Second, prioritize reliability by favoring well-maintained Japanese brands and solid fleet models. Third, evaluate total cost of ownership by including insurance, maintenance, tires, taxes, and depreciation. Fourth, secure a pre-purchase inspection and request insurance quotes before buying. Fifth, avoid complex, high-maintenance features such as air suspensions, intricate infotainment systems, or rare parts that can spike repair costs. Finally, plan to keep the car 7 to 10 years and contribute to a monthly sinking fund so the next purchase is also in cash. With the framework set, let's visualize the decision path you can follow every time. This flowchart begins with the recognition that you need a car and immediately asks if you are catching up on retirement. If you are, it next evaluates the size of your liquid assets to set a budget cap, typically 5 to 8% for smaller liquid reserves and up to about 10% for larger ones. From there, it steers you toward reliability first selection, followed by pre-purchase inspections and insurance quotes. A total cost of ownership check confirms whether the purchase fits comfortably with your financial goals. If the purchase threatens your emergency fund or retirement contributions, the chart loops back to reset the budget and vehicle choice. If all checks pass, the flow ends with buying and keeping the car for 7 to 10 years, maximizing value and minimizing churn. Next, we'll compare ownership costs across scenarios to make the trade-offs concrete. This table illustrates 3 ownership snapshots. A $40,000 used luxury vehicle carries approximately $18,000 of depreciation over 3 years, plus around $1,800 per year in insurance and $1,600 per year in maintenance. That totals roughly $28,200 over 3 years for depreciation, insurance, and maintenance combined. A $20,000 reliable used car might depreciate around $7,000 in 3 years, with about $1,200 per year in insurance and $900 per year in maintenance, totaling roughly $13,300. An older reliable fleet model at $12,000 might depreciate around $3,000 in 3 years, with about $1,000 per year for insurance and $800 per year for maintenance, totaling roughly $8,400. While actual numbers vary by market, this comparison shows how quickly costs escalate with higher-end vehicles. Next, let's contrast luxury features with reliability in a simple side-by-side view. On the left, luxury trims often introduce complex technology and options that can be delightful when new but expensive to insure and repair later. Those features accelerate depreciation and raise total cost of ownership. On the right, reliable trims focus on simpler, proven components, which typically lower insurance premiums and repair costs and moderate depreciation. In short, reliability maximizes utility per dollar. Now, let's set realistic price targets and examples of what to shop for. Here are practical targets. In the $8,000 to $12,000 range, you'll find older but reliable compacts and sedans, especially fleet-maintained units that have consistent service history. In the $12,000 to $18,000 range, you can often secure modern compacts or mid-size sedans that include solid safety features. If you must go higher, aim to limit the purchase to roughly $18,000 to $22,000, and only when it clearly fits your broader financial plan. Either way, focus on platforms with strong reliability records and widely available, affordable parts. Simultaneously, avoid rare trims or specialty components that create repair and parts bottlenecks. Next, let's visualize how your catch-up budget might be allocated with a simple pie chart. This pie chart shows a catch-up allocation with the car as a relatively small slice, about 10%. The majority of cash flow prioritizes retirement contributions and maintaining an adequate emergency fund, with housing and essential bills steady. The message is clear. During catch-up, keep the vehicle allocation modest so the bulk of your resources can compound. Next, we'll map a 10-year timeline to show how this discipline translates into progress. On this 10-year timeline, the first 2 years center on building a 3 to 6 month emergency fund and securing a reliable used car with cash. Years 3 through 5 focus on maximizing tax-advantaged accounts such as employer plans, HSAs, and IRAs, while investing the money you didn't spend on a pricier vehicle. Years 6 through 8 emphasize increasing taxable investing and maintaining the vehicle to extend its useful life. Finally, years 9 and 10 are for reassessing net worth and planning the next cash purchase through a sinking fund. Now, let's test your understanding with a brief quiz. Quiz time. The question is, if you're catching up on retirement, which approach best preserves long-term wealth? Option A. Pay $40,000 cash for a luxury used car to avoid payments. Option B. Finance a $40,000 car at low interest because cash is king. Option C. Pay $12,000 to $20,000 cash for a reliable used car and invest the difference. Option D. Lease a luxury car to keep savings intact. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. Paying $12,000 to $20,000 for a reliable used vehicle and investing the remainder preserves capital for compounding while keeping your total cost of ownership low. This strategy helps you accelerate retirement savings and avoid the pitfalls of expensive maintenance and insurance that often accompany high-end vehicles. Next, let's do one more quick question to reinforce the budgeting principle. Second quiz. The question is, when setting a car budget during catch-up mode, what should it be proportionate to? Option A. Your monthly savings rate. Option B. Your total liquid assets. Option C. Your desired trim and options. Option D. The average price of cars in your neighborhood. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Tying your car budget to your total liquid assets helps maintain financial resilience, ensures your emergency fund and investments stay intact, and prevents lifestyle inflation from undermining long-term goals. Now, for a quick markdown math break to connect the dots on compounding. Let's briefly review the compounding math. The future value formula is FV equals PV times 1 plus R to the power of N. For example, with a present value of $40,000, a 7% annual return, and 10 years, the future value is roughly $78,671. Similarly, investing $25,000 for 10 years at 7% grows to about $49,167. The conclusion is straightforward. A smaller car purchase today can translate into a much larger portfolio tomorrow. Next, we'll distill the most important points to remember. Here are the key takeaways. First, avoid the $40,000 car trap while you're catching up on retirement. Second, size your car budget to your liquid assets, often around 5 to 10% during catch-up. Third, choose reliability and low total cost of ownership over luxury and complexity. Fourth, always rely on pre-purchase inspections, insurance quotes, and total cost checks before buying. Fifth, plan to keep the car 7 to 10 years and use a sinking fund for the next vehicle. Finally, invest the difference so compounding can do the heavy lifting for your future. Now, let's summarize the full journey. In summary, paying cash for a car is a strong strategy, but the amount of cash you allocate matters even more. Spending $40,000 on a used car often buys luxury and long-run costs that jeopardize your savings momentum. Instead, $12,000 to $20,000 spent on a reliable used vehicle preserves capital and flexibility. By keeping costs low and investing the difference, compounding can transform today's restraint into tomorrow's security. Finally, stay disciplined, prioritize reliability, invest the difference, and strengthen your retirement trajectory. Next, I'll close us out with a quick message. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful, please like the video, share it with someone who's eyeing an expensive car, and subscribe for more practical money content. I'd love to hear your car budget rule of thumb and your favorite reliable models in the comments. Until next time, keep your wheels reliable and your investments compounding.